first story, the busy, vibrant Accra Business District is today a ghost town as protests by members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association enters day 2. They have shut down their shops in protest against worsening economic conditions in the country. The group described the industrial action, which will end on October 24, as a pinch on governments to urgently address the depreciating cedi, high interest rates and inflation. My colleague Michael Ashali has been roaming some of these markets to assess the impact of the protest on customers.
Back at Opera Square to see the situation on the ground again as the strike continues by members of the Ghana Union Traders Association, GUTA. They are sending a strong warning to government to solve the escalating economic conditions that is prevalent right now here. We are here talking to individuals, to especially other businesses that depended on the operations of these shops that you see that are still closed here. In Opera Square, it's difficult to find a single shop that has decided to remain open here. And this is a bus terminal as well. Unusually, very empty. The number of people that you see here, multiply that by 20 on a regular day. Number of people pouring in every day. But these are headquarters who would have ordinarily also benefited from the booming business at Opera Square. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore here. Let me ask some of them. But good morning, no? Oh, talk to me. How is the business going? GUTA members are all closed their shops. In Drano, Jumano corner saying. In Gofan, no Boam, almost a Kobe before. Draw one phobia, Yamanko. Now, and then so. Then Susa, so Mumba, no Mumbia, Yabayan day. About Nasa, I bread no coffee. You're no better, did he? You're quiet. You're quiet, yeah, but that's I am young gypsy because you buy a young Siesica until you're quiet, but that's what you're never saying. Aisha, Midday. So Aisha's been telling me that it's the second day and they are struggling as headquarters to make ends meet. Ordinarily, we have a lot of shoppers around here who would need their assistance to carry their wares to their destination or to the nearest means of transport. But that is not the case. She tells me that there's a high chance she and her colleagues will be sleeping on empty stomach. We are still at Opera Square assessing the impact on customers here. And I have one of them here who will tell us how difficult it was to get the little that he could find in this particular market. Please, what's your name?
This Peter.
Peter. Okay, Peter. How difficult was it to get the little that you got? What did you come to buy?
This iron rod. Earth rod. Seriously speaking, it's very frustrating. Traders are so united this time around to express how serious it is on how the economy is so impacting them, and it's very frustrating, very frustrating.
How long did it take you to get what you came to buy?
Honestly, I was here yesterday evening to pick this. I couldn't make it, and this morning I had to wake up at dawn, and as at this time, before I was able to get this, I had to go from one store to another. Of course, the owners are there, but they refuse to sell. It's like I said earlier, it's very frustrating.
Very frustrating. So, on a normal day, if you came, how long would it have taken you to get your rod?
Within a twinkle of an eye, I would have gotten this. Very smart. And they will even be chasing you. Come and buy from here, come and buy from this person. But this time around, you will never see that.
Did it cost you more?
Oh yeah. On a normal day, I would have gotten this at, say, 80 Ghana cedis. But this morning, I got it at 130 Ghana cedis.
We are currently in Circle, specifically Tiptoe Lane, and most of the shops here belonging to GUTA are under lock and key. And the place is less busy than we'd expect it to be on a regular day. To buy?
This one is Huawei, Infinix Huawei 20 Pro. It's Huawei 20 Pro, and then this one is Infinix Note 3. Yeah, this the screens that I'm.
How many shops have you gone to trying to find some to buy?
Almost all the shops. Almost. I have some the shop owners that I do call them at times when I'm not in. I call them so that I'll verify if they have some. But now they are saying that they can't sell it because if they open the shop, they will come and close it, and then it will be next month before they will open the shop for them, because it's too hard. At times, if I'm late, I have to leave here by 9. You see, I come here to buy things, and then I'll go to my main shop. But now, because of me not getting the shop, I have to be here to see whether they will open it, and then we get what we need there.
And customers are the ones bearing the brunt of this strike. Many of them have had to return back home empty-handed because the shops that they expected them to open were closed, and the shop owners refused to sell to them. For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association GUTA says the 5-day closure of shops is aimed at piling pressure on government to act quickly to resolve their concerns. National President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, says they remain resolute in their decision to strike despite attempts by government to get them to back down. He spoke on JoyNews Prime.
Everybody has gotten this right. The people who told us that they want to close their shops, they make a definite statement. And that's what you saw in the markets today.
Has there been any attempt, Dr. Obeng, from government today to try and stop this action, to get you to rescind the decision and perhaps gather around the table again and negotiate?
Yeah, Mr. Murphy have called me a couple of times. What he has not done is to be able to call us. And the statement is so clear that we are giving a hint to government to take a sense of urgency, to make a sense of urgency in the situation what we find ourselves in. And that statement have gone to government so loud and clear. And so that is enough. So for government to work on it, we told you we also want to communicate to the general consuming public that we are not the cause of price hikes in the market.
The association has, however, dismissed claims of harassment of some traders who say the strike is going well.
Yekani nyina bomwa aseda na yehye mo bonso se bambo ese ye bonyina frisamria kwesi emra moa mo ne aban kasa ne nwokọ ne abanyina mo beyi se mo ba bebiebie mo shop no nyina ye beye na enu su achi no kra mpo no mo ba ye bekoso ama bambo no mu aye den ewo Ghana fa na nyina se na beye a o man no betime tumpon na fa no ntoma pafra.
That was the IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, speaking there. Now, as of today, it is not clear when government will seal a deal with the IMF to help remedy our current economic woes. However, analysts are encouraging government to focus on other domestic measures while waiting for the deal. Speaking on the AM show this morning with Bernice Abubedu Lansa, CDD fellow Dr. Osai Kwapong has been sharing how government can widen the tax net and seal loopholes in revenue mobilization.
But some of these, some of these e-measures, some of these electronic measures, I think are steps in the, in the right direction, right? You really want to make sure that those on whom you assess various kinds of taxes are actually meeting their tax obligations, and there are no sort of mechanisms through which they can bypass the tax system. And so if electronic measures, digital measures would help to ensure full tax, or at least as much tax compliance as we can, then I think that that's a step in the right direction. I just think that sometimes with the rollout of some of these administrative procedures, around something as, as critical as taxes, I think engaging the stakeholders and making them, a little more sensitization to get them to the point where they can fully understand the impetus of that approach, I believe helps. But I think if we can really use some of these digital tools, e-tools, to help with tax compliance, that would be, critically important. In situations where digital measures may not help, you also want to count on strong public education and why it is important to meet all your tax obligations to the state. How you also tax the informal sector of the economy also becomes another way of dealing with some of these revenue challenges when it comes to taxation. But for me, at this point, all of these steps that the GRA is thinking about and trying to implement has a good, policy intention behind it, which is we really want to make sure that we are collecting taxes as effectively and as efficiently as possible.
A coalition of public sector workers are warning the government not to include the Tier 2 pension contributions of workers in government securities in a debt restructuring program. The IMF has made debt restructuring a major precondition to reach any deal with government. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has assured the restructuring will be done in a manner that will be less painful. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the group warned governments to stay off their pension funds in government securities. Executive Secretary of TRASAG, Isaac Bampoado, spoke for the group.
If the government was to pursue the restructuring of Ghana's debt by touching pension funds placed in government securities, it will be tantamount to deceit of benefits envisaged under the 3-tier pension scheme. Again, it would violate the provisions on preservation and protection of pension funds under the National Pensions Act 2008/766, Section 1899 and 102. For the avoidance of doubt, these sections are quoted below. For the purpose of preserving accrued benefits in a scheme, a trustee of a scheme shall not pay or dispose any part of accrued benefits to a scheme member or another person except in accordance with the provisions of this Act. And B, an employee or self-employed person shall not have a right or entitlement to accrue benefit except in accordance with this Act. It is important to refer to the provision of accrued benefits defined under Section 102. That one, the accrued benefits of a member in an occupational pension scheme shall not be attached in execution of a judgment debt or be used as a charge, a pledge, a lien, or be transferred, assigned, or alienated by or on behalf of that member. A disposition that is contrary to subsection 1 is void. The occupational pension schemes are managing the Tier 2 funds effectively and efficiently, and have grown the Tier 2 funds that would allow the schemes to pay better lump sum to its contributors on retirement. Thus, if government want to touch these funds that are privately managed, it will be tantamount to the government reaping where it has not sown. At this point, the forum will wish to point out that the decision to place high proportion of Tier 2 funds into government securities was due to the fact that government paid all the temporary pension fund account, TPFA, at Bank of Ghana in government securities to the pension schemes. The forum is appalled at the composition of the Consultative Committee on the Financial Sector Stakeholder Engagement. The chairman, Mr. Albert Essien, was the same person who spearheaded a special purpose vehicle, that's Ghana Amalgamated Trust, entrusted to support selected indigenous banks that was unable to meet the new increased minimum capital requirement by the by the Bank of Ghana. One of the options which was pursued by GATT in this exercise was to salvage the banks, was to use the Tier 2 pension funds. It is therefore obvious that the chairman of the consultative team, Mr. Albert Essien, who was a prominent member of GATT, would be more disposed in recommending the use of Tier 2 funds as part of the restructuring of Ghana's debt agenda. In any way, the success or otherwise of GATT has not been made public, nor has the cost of services of GATT been made known. The chairman's involvement in GATT and chairman of the Ghana Stock Exchange, among others, make him an interested party, and it could be deemed as conflict of interest, as his output would be skewed towards the interest of government.
That's Executive Secretary of Clocksag, Isaac Bampoe-Addo. To other stories now. Get off the seat and get another person to manage the economy if you have no antidote to the economic crisis of the country. These are the comments of the former Minister of Gender and Social Protection, Nana Oye Bampoe-Addo. Speaking on the AM show, she described as disappointing the comments made by the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, in response to the people of Kwabre who are demanding good roads.
Tensions are high, just one spark, and then there's turmoil in this country. And so he must give us hope and tell us how he's going to solve this problem, or he should get off the seat, resign, and get somebody to manage the economy so that we can have some respite. He's been on his tours for a fortnight. He hasn't said a single word of hope or anything to make us even have that hope that, oh, there is a solution, that government is coming up with some solution to our predicament. He hasn't said one thing. He's rather taunting the general population. He's rather taunting and passing some comments that are rubbing people in a very wrong way. Look at the comments he made on the Kwabre road construction and whether people would vote for NDC or NPP. As a leader, in this dire situation, he should not be speaking like that at all. I'm very, very disappointed in him.
Supreme Court nominee Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu-Asiedu has thrown his weight behind efforts to remove the death penalty from Ghana's statutes. Although existing in law, no president since the inception of the Fourth Republic has signed the death warrant of persons sentenced to death. Medina MP Francis Xavier Sosu and some MPs are sponsoring a private member's bill to remove the death penalty. Appearing before the Appointments Committee, Justice Asiedu said that it is in the right direction.
Or those who do advocate against the death penalty have done so from about 2 or 3, angles. One, like you've just said, life is precious. Life is so fundamental, and that we as human beings cannot create life. And so we have no right to take away life. 2, that once life is taken, it is irreplaceable. 3, in the system, the judicial system, there's that likelihood that a mistake would have been made. And so a person will be convicted. He has not done, or he has not committed the crime he is alleged to have committed. And meanwhile, if he is put to death, and later on, evidence comes up to show that the person was innocent, we just cannot bring that person, back. And so, nobody should be put to death, or for that reason, the death penalty must not be made to, continue to exist in our books, our statute books. As a judge, like I said earlier, ours is to interpret the law and apply it. And so as long as it remains in the statute, the judge has no alternative but to apply it. And so it is a step in the right direction that, bills have been initiated to, amend the Criminal Procedure Code and then the Criminal, and Other Offences Act. That's both Act 29 and Act 30. I think it's a step in the right direction.
A dominant theme that ran through the vetting was the independence of the judiciary. According to another nominee, Justice Ernest Yao, who faced some tough questions on his affiliation to the governing NPP, the judiciary is not infallible, but said enough mechanisms exist to deal with erring judges.
What I would like to say first and foremost is that the judiciary is a human institution, and definitely there will be some infractions of members of the judiciary. But the judiciary is such a large, composition. We have different we've got and there are many stakeholders. Well, any concern of any infraction, corruption, or whatever it is should be of concern to all of us. I agree that it will. But there are certain mechanisms created within the system itself to be able to take care of all these, like the code of conduct for us, administrative mechanisms that are put in place to make sure the compliance of this code of conduct, and then the impeachment proceedings or procedures that are all designed to impeach an errant judge. And these have all gone through a number of evolutions such that, it's been, I think in permit me to quote this from the Code of Conduct. The Latimer House principle of the Commonwealth of Nations also correctly indicate that the principle of judicial accountability and independence underpin public confidence in judicial system and the importance of the judiciary as one of the three pillars upon which a responsible government relies. The Latimer House principle were formulated by the Commonwealth to clarify interrelationship between all the branches of government. So you realize that, yes, there is mechanism created to attend to all these teething problems of members of the judiciary in upholding the rule of law.
They survived a surprising late scare from Ebri Presby Senior High Technical School to qualify for the semi-finals. Many NSMQ pundits thought it was going to be a two-horse race between Prempeh College and Mauli School, but that did not happen as Ebri Presby Senior High rather stood toe-to-toe with the Amanfos. Maxwell Agboba has more.
Prempeh College, five-time winners of the National Science and Maths Quiz. They have qualified for the semi-finals of the 2022 NSMQ. In the first round of the competition, Ebri Presby Senior High Technical School took an early lead, leading with 5 points. That changed in the second round when Prempeh College led with 10 points. The problem of the day, round 3, proved to be a real problem of the day. Ebri Presby Senior High Technical School had 1 point, Prempeh College 0 points, Mauli School also had 1 point. By the end of the contest, Prempeh College won by just 6 points and they qualified for the semi-finals. Listen to the gentleman. Raise your voices loud and say, Gloria Prempeh College, and say,
Prempeh College there. Well, we had a first contest earlier this morning, and that was St. James Seminary SHS. We also had Ghana SHS Koforidua. We also had Kumasi Secondary Technical School. And the points for the first contest, 44 points. St. James Seminary SHS won that contest with 44 points. Ghana SHS Koforidua led with 29 points, and Kumasi Secondary Technical School followed with 23 points. So St. James Seminary SHS is through to the semi-finals. In the next hour or so, we will be heading back to KNUST, where St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary will be there. Kumasi High School and Bishop Herman College will be competing. And a very exciting contest at 3 p.m. Accra Academy, Pope John SHS and Presec Legon. It is going to be an extremely tough contest. Accra Academy, who they call them the Kaneshi Market Boys, and we also have Presec, who the Presec, I mean, they won 6 trophies, and then Pope John, which we have seen over the years, come in very strong. So it's going to be a very tight competition. You don't want to miss it here on this channel at 3 p.m. DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. To follow us, you follow us on JoyNews on TV and follow the hashtag NSMQ on Joy. You're still watching JoyNews today. I'm Mapitso Sebidi. Up next is business.
It's time for business here on Joy News today with me, Beverly Broom, a professor of construction technology and management at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, has expressed concern about the lack of infrastructure, tools and equipment for engineers to effectively work at the district, municipal and metropolitan assemblies. Professor Ayakwa was speaking at the inaugural ceremony of the Local Government Services Engineers Association in Kumasi. Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
It is only in Africa that we appoint somebody, we recruit somebody, and fail to provide the needed tools for the person to do it. If you go to our districts, you will see that the West Department is suffering so much when it comes to vehicles. When the MCE or DCE wants to go somewhere, who will give them the vehicle to go and monitor a project that is going on?
According to the former provost of the College of Art and Built Environment, assemblies do not comprehend the problem of sustainable infrastructure development, which causes departments of works to suffer greatly in terms of resources.
It means that we do not understand the issue of sustainability when it comes to infrastructure delivery. Because the level money that we have, we are using it to provide infrastructure, yet we do not equip the engineers to be able to go and monitor and ensure that the works are done effectively and well.
If engineers do not have the resources to ensure that projects are completed in accordance with established standards, Professor Yakwa worries that works completed at assemblies will not last.
You see, this means that the work will not survive tomorrow. So there will be no infrastructure for tomorrow. And that the money that we are spending now will go to waste.
According to him, the availability of equipment and infrastructure, particularly vehicles for engineers in the works department, is essential for any assembly that is worthwhile.
If for any assembly that is worthwhile, provision of tools and infrastructure, especially vehicles for engineers, for works department to do their work will be cardinal or number one on the agenda.
In order to assist engineers to offer productive labor, he urges the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to direct assemblies to resource the professionals. He says the ministry should be able to whisper into the ears of the assembly so they regard it as very vital and provide infrastructure to effective work delivery.
Even though the head of local government doesn't have money to provide this, I am sure the ministry should be able to speak into the ears of the MMDC so that they see this as very important and provide such infrastructure for you to be able to do your work. Other than that, If you look at a district like mine, the villages that one has to travel, because we are providing schools under trees, how do we go into those hinterlands to be able to see? So if you go there, the projects that are delivered there are shoddy. And so you are lambasted as engineers as to what you are doing in the district for such projects to be there. But how could you walk into such hinterlands?
The subject of lack of resources enthused engineers from all across the nation who attended the ceremony. Here is Engineer Wanda.
The call is very right, and I'm happy the head of service himself was there, and so I think that the call will be heeded too.
According to Engineer Wanda, consultants were occasionally paid a sum of money, at least 6% of the project cost. However, with the creation of the Works Department, these funds are being saved.
Those days when we engage consultants to provide consultancy services for the assemblies, they are paid huge sums of money, sometimes minimum of 6% of the project cost. But with the coming of the Works Department, these monies don't go outside again. When we have the Works unit providing consultancy services for the assembly, it means that the assembly is saving so much. So therefore, if we provide the necessary tools for the assemblies to do their work, it will be very helpful.
Tools such as Smith hammer and then slam test that we normally use in testing the strength of concrete. We don't have such tools in even the municipal that I'm working. It's not tools alone, equipment such as vehicles for monitoring are not enough, therefore rendering most of us to be out to supervise projects, ongoing projects, you know. It makes us stay in the office instead of going out.
The foundation of all development, according to Engineer Alexander Kelo from Ahafo Ano Southwest District Assembly, is the Works Department. To create the finest work, Engineer Kelo urges the Assembly to resource them well.
It is the inspection of the projects, the regular monitoring and inspection of the projects that will help the project to come out with whatever that the specification of the contract demands. But due to the challenges that the Works Department faces, all these things becomes future, and at the end of it all, the districts and the country as large do not get the necessary and then the requisite specification of a project that is required.
A report by Mohamed Nuruddin.
Log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more stories. My name is Beverly Broom. Have a good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Let's do sports here on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. And Accra High Court has set Tuesday, October 25 to hear Ashanti Gold's motion for an injunction on the Ghana Premier League. Meanwhile, the court granted ASGO's earlier petition to file supplementary affidavits supporting their motion for an injunction. Now, the following note, a lawyer of the Ghana Football Association did not oppose Ashanti Gold's decision. However, ASGO have until the close of day today, which is October 20, to file and submit their supplementary affidavits. The two parties were at the Accra High Court last Friday, October 14, for the first hearing of the case, but a decision was made to adjourn the case after the Ghana Football Association's lawyers argued that the lawyers of ASGO did not follow due process in filing the supplementary affidavit and prayed the court to dismiss it. Still on stories that has to do with Ghana Premier League, and Accra House of Folk Board Chairman Togbe Afede, he has passed a vote of confidence on board members Alhaji Akambe and Vincent Soa Odote. The two administrators who have been at House for close to 11 years have recently come under censure from fans calling from them to step down, but Togbe says the due are rare.
Leadership for many years now. I've founded many companies which I've led. And I can say without any doubt, without any of contradiction, that the likes of Akambi and Honorable Odote are very rare. Hajj Akambi works with a passion that sometimes surprises me. We've been having difficulty, for example, implementing our Pupman project. We had a professional in charge of supervising that place. Sometimes weeks, and I don't know what is happening. We said, Akambi, just help us. Make sure we finish Pupman by the end of the year. Sometimes I call Akambi 6:30. He's on a Pupman in the morning, when many of those who are accusing him are fast asleep.
That's all for sports, but we do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. As you can see right behind me, court to hear Ghana Premier League injunction case on October 25. And Black Meteors, they are departing to Mozambique for the African Cup of Nations Under-23 qualifiers. We'll have details of these stories at 2 p.m. when my colleague Nathaniel Atto comes your way with sports today. Up next is World News.
Time now for latest updates in the world of entertainment. My name is KMJ. Now, after a long break from the music industry, reggae dancehall artist I1 is back and has been talking about support for the industry. He spoke on Showbiz A to Z and he says he doesn't think that he's been supported enough.
What's your relationship with the industry like?
Well, I don't really feel supported, but then what I would say is that I don't know. I don't really know what is behind.
They don't play your songs.
Yeah.
And that's how you are in the studio of Showbiz A to Z in the studio of Joy 99.7 FM. Now, from that, the DJs Awards is fast approaching, and DJs have been speaking their minds on it. Lexus Bill, who is the drive time host on Joy 99.7 FM, has also added his voice to it, and he says DJs have been the pace setters when it comes to where they are in the music industry. He thinks they are at a pivotal point.
This time immemorial, DJs have actually been the tastemakers for the audience. I mean, they literally know how to curate music and create a certain mood for whoever's listening. So the artists will produce the music and hope that it gets to the audience and whatnot. But believe it or not, there was a time that the DJ's role was to break new records, new music, new artists to the community. DJs were like an outlet for aspiring musicians or musicians in general.
Yeah.
There was actually a time, believe it or not, that DJs sat in the space that's currently occupied by, the huge conglomerates like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal. Like really, that was the place of DJ. So elsewhere, back in the day, when the records are out, when a musician is out with a vinyl, the first place they actually take it to is the DJ, because they needed the DJ as the outlet. The DJ also more like was the authority, was like the seal of approval, because the DJ played the music and said, look, this is a great new song from George Quay.
And that was Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM, speaking on DJs. And that will be a wrap for the entertainment segment here on the news. My name is KMJ. For more news, log on to www.myjoyonline.com. Maps.
Thank you very much, KMJ, for the updates in the world of showbiz. And that's how we wrap up Joy News today. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. But I'll be back at exactly 1 p.m. to give you all the exciting, comprehensive coverage of the 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz. So don't go anywhere.